A toast to Claire's bonus. Can't wait for Aspen. Aspen? What Aspen trip? But it's Ethan's next line that stops my heart. He lifts his glass, smirking. Just as long as the workhorse keeps pulling. The screen blurs as a rush of heat floods my face. Workhorse. The room spins and suddenly I'm not here anymore. I'm 25 years old again, sitting at my old desk, staring at my laptop screen with burning eyes. My finger hovers over the cancel button on a booking confirmation for a trip to Italy. A trip I've saved for over a year, pinching pennies, bringing leftovers for lunch, taking extra shifts. My phone lights up. Mom calling. Claire? Her voice is tight with panic. Ethan wrecked another car. The insurance won't cover it. We don't know what to do. I look at the Italy confirmation page. 14 days exploring Tuscany. A dream postponed from college, from my first job, from every other time something more important came up. How much do you need? I hear myself ask. $5,000. My entire Italy fund, gone in a single bank transfer. You're the only one we can count on, Claire, Mom had said. What would we do without you? The memory fractures as I snap back to the present. The video continues playing. They're discussing their Christmas lists now, what they expect from me. A new watch for Dad, some designer purse for Mom. Ethan wants a high-end sound system for his studio. And suddenly, the pain isn't dull and familiar. It isn't the resigned ache I've carried for years. It's a cold, clear, liberating rage that straightens my spine and clears my vision. I look around my small rental apartment. Really look at it. The worn furniture I've kept because it still works fine. The bare walls because decorating is an unnecessary expense. The tiny kitchen with appliances from the 90s. A cage I built for myself, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice.
My phone buzzes again. A text from Mom. Don't forget to pick up that nice bourbon your father likes for Christmas Eve dinner. I place the phone face down on the counter. My hands aren't shaking anymore. This, I whisper to the empty apartment, is the end. The words hang in the still air, not a melodramatic promise, not an empty threat, just a simple, inescapable truth. For 7 years, I've been the family ATM, the dutiful daughter, the responsible one, the workhorse. No more. I pick up my phone again and watch the video one more time. Each laugh, each dismissive comment, each casual cruelty carving away the chains of obligation I've wrapped around myself. I notice a detail I missed, a glint of a ring on a hand briefly visible at the edge of the frame. Whoever recorded this was in the room with them, watching this happen, and decided I deserved to know. I don't recognize the hand, but I silently thank its owner. Some betrayals are a gift. I stand up straight, walk to my laptop, and open my bank account. The annual bonus notification blinks at me from the screen. 6 figures. The money my family is already spending in their minds. For the first time in my adult life, I smile at my bank balance and think, mine. Not their house payment, not Ethan's next mistake, not my parents' vacation. Mine. I take a deep breath and begin to type. It's time to make some changes. The rage gives way to clarity. I watch the video again, focusing this time not on the mockery, but on the details. My finger hovers over the screen, rewinding to catch what I missed. There, Ethan, lounging with his feet up on Mom's coffee table, the one I helped her pick out last year. She just gave me $1,000 for art supplies last week, he brags, making air quotes with his fingers. I used it to buy this 8K TV. He gestures towards something off camera with a smug grin.
Dad laughs, tipping back his bourbon. Now that's art.
My stomach knots. That $1,000 was from my last paycheck. Money I'd sent when Ethan called, claiming he needed supplies for a gallery showing that would finally get his career started. I'd skipped lunch for 2 weeks to make up the difference in my budget. This isn't just emotional betrayal, it's fraud. Plain and simple theft. I set my phone down on the kitchen counter. Hands steady now. The kitchen clock ticks loudly in the silence of my apartment. 11:42 p.m. The night feels different, sharper somehow, like someone cranked up the resolution on my life. Mom's face fills my mind, not the cruel, wine-flushed woman from the video, but the tearful, pleading mother who'd called last month about Thomas's emergency dental work. $2,000. Insurance won't cover it, Claire. You know your father's too proud to ask. I'd transferred the money immediately, no questions asked. Now I understand. There are two antagonists here, not just one. Linda, the emotional manipulator who knows exactly which guilt buttons to push, and Thomas, the entitled patriarch who's never held a job longer than 3 years, but somehow deserves a $50,000 truck. Ethan's just the accomplice, the spoiled youngest taking his cues from the masters. The stakes are clear, too. My annual bonus, $127,000 this year, lands in my account in 10 days. They're already planning how to spend it on their Aspen trip. My money. My life. End. That familiar guilt, the voice that whispers, family comes first, tries to surface but dies quickly. The cozy Christmas Eve dinner I'd been planning, the prime rib I'd already ordered from the butcher, the gifts wrapped and hidden in my closet. It all seems pathetic now. The elaborate ritual of a woman desperate for scraps of approval. My laptop glows from the coffee table. I walk over, pull up my calendar, and dial my boss's cell. It's late, but Valerie always answers. Claire, everything okay? Her voice is alert despite the hour.
I need to take my PTO, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. All 3 weeks, starting tomorrow. A pause. The Kessler account. I closed it this afternoon. The paperwork's done. A $1.2 million deal, my biggest of the quarter. Are you sick? Family emergency? The concern in her voice almost makes me laugh. I just need some time, I tell her. I'll be back for the quarterly meeting. Okay then, she says slowly. You've earned it. I'll process it first thing tomorrow. Thank you. I hang up, already opening a new browser tab. 20 minutes later, I have a first-class ticket to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, leaving at 10 a.m. The Amangani Resort confirms my reservation moments after that, a suite with a view of the Tetons and a heated infinity pool. Next comes the digital lockdown. I log into my bank account, navigate to the automatic payments section, and systematically cancel each one. $2,000, $500 for my parents' mortgage, $700 for Thomas's truck payment, $500 for Linda's country club dues, and Ethan's $1,000 monthly allowance. The confirmation screens bring a satisfaction I've never felt before. I change every password, bank, email, social media, Amazon, and enable 2-factor authentication on each account. My phone buzzes with verification codes as I methodically secure my digital life. An email to building management takes only seconds to compose. Due to security concerns, please rekey my apartment 12B immediately. I'll cover any associated costs. I hit send without hesitation. The clock reads 1:27 a.m. when I make the final call to Elite Catering, where I'd placed an $1,800 order for Christmas Eve dinner. This is Claire Prescott, I say, when their after-hours service answers. I need to change the delivery address for my December 24th order. Of course, Miss Prescott. What's the new address? I smile for the first time in hours.
Fire Station Number 5 on Madison Avenue. It's a donation. Please include a note, Happy Holidays to our local heroes. That's very generous, the woman says. We'll take care of it. Thank you, I say, and end the call. I walk to my bedroom window and look out at the city lights. For 7 years, I've poured my life into a bottomless pit of need, believing that sacrifice meant love. The memory of being called a workhorse should hurt, but instead, it feels like being cut free from a heavy weight. My phone buzzes with a text from Mom. Don't forget we need that check for the roof repair by Friday. Love you. I don't reply. Instead, I silence my phone, place it on the nightstand, and begin to pack for Wyoming. In the morning, I'll be gone. The first flight of my life that isn't for work or family obligation, just for me. My family will discover what happens when the workhorse breaks free, and I'll be watching from 1,500 miles away, sipping champagne in first class. The next morning, my alarm goes off at 6 a.m. sharp. I don't hit snooze, not today. The suitcase waits by the door, packed with winter clothes and the soft leather boots I bought 2 years ago but never wore. There's a strange calm in the air, the kind that comes after a storm when the debris settles and you finally see the damage for what it is. Coffee brews as I scroll through my emails, a flood of notifications from the bank. Automatic payment canceled, new password set, two-factor authentication enabled. It feels like erasing fingerprints from a crime scene, except the only thing I'm guilty of is finally choosing myself. By 8:15, I'm in the back of an Uber headed to the airport. Snow flurries dance in the gray December light, coating the sidewalks in a clean, fragile white. Half-light to the terminal, my phone starts vibrating. Mom flashes on the screen. I let it ring. Then again. Then once more. By the fourth call, curiosity wins. I answer.
Claire! Linda's voice is sharp, frantic. What's going on? The bank called, the mortgage payment bounced, and your father's truck? I know, I interrupt calmly. What do you mean, you know? I canceled them. There's silence on the line. Then a disbelieving laugh. You what? I canceled every payment. I'm done financing your lives. Claire, don't be ridiculous. Your father and brother depend on you. Exactly, I say, staring out the window at the falling snow. That's the problem. Her tone shifts, softer now, manipulative. Sweetheart, you know your father hasn't been well. Stress isn't good for his heart. Do you really want to upset him before Christmas? Linda, I say, using her first name for the first time in my life. Thomas has been drinking bourbon and laughing about me behind my back. His heart seems fine. This silence on the other end is electric. How dare you speak to me like that? After everything we've done for you? What exactly have you done for me, besides take? She starts to speak again, but I end the call before she can finish. For a moment, the car is silent, except for the low hum of the heater. Then a strange sound escapes my throat. Not quite a laugh, not quite a sob. Freedom has a sound, I realize. It's the sound of a phone call ending. At the airport, I check in, hand over my bag, and make my way through security. The gate is nearly empty, a few travelers wrapped in scarves and exhaustion. As I sit by the window, sipping burnt airport coffee, another message lights up my phone, this time from Ethan. What the hell, Claire? Mom's freaking out. You can't just cut everyone off like this. It's Christmas. I type back slowly. You're right. I can't. But I am. A pause. Then another message. You've changed. Money's made you cold. I stare at his words for a moment before replying. No, Ethan. Money's just stopped keeping me warm.
The boarding announcement crackles through the speakers. First-class passengers for Flight 642 to Jackson Hole may now board. I rise, walk down the jet bridge, and hand over my ticket. The flight attendant greets me with the practiced smile, but when I step into the cabin, something shifts. It's quiet here, peaceful. For the first time in years, there's no weight on my shoulders, no invisible debt. As the plane taxis down the runway, I glance out the window and whisper a quiet goodbye to the city. Not a goodbye forever, just to the version of me that believed love had to be earned through sacrifice. The engines roar and the ground falls away beneath me.
Hours later, I'm soaking in a deep marble tub at Amangani, snow swirling outside the window like confetti. I let the hot water ease the tension from my body as I sip from a flute of champagne. My phone sits face down on the counter, notifications still buzzing somewhere beneath it, but I don't care. This silence, this peace, is intoxicating. I close my eyes and imagine my family back home, realizing the full scope of what I've done. The unpaid bills. The canceled credit cards. The Christmas Eve dinner that never arrives. Maybe they'll fight. Maybe they'll blame each other. Maybe, for once, they'll look at the wreckage and see the truth. That I was never the problem. I was the foundation they built everything on. And now that foundation is gone. I sink deeper into the water, a smile tugging at my lips. Some debts can't be repaid. Some bonds deserve to break. And sometimes revenge looks a lot like freedom. 3 days pass before I check my phone again. By then, I've finished 2 novels, gone on a snowshoe hike through the Tetons, and learned that silence can be a kind of music. When I finally power it on, my screen floods with messages. 86 missed calls. Dozens of texts. The first is from Linda. I can't believe you would abandon your family at Christmas. Your father is sick with stress. How could you be so selfish? Then from Ethan. They're saying we might lose the house. Are you happy now? And then, surprisingly, one from Thomas. I don't know what's gotten into you, but this isn't how a daughter behaves. You owe your family an explanation. The last one makes me laugh. Out loud, in the quiet luxury of the suite. I scroll through more of their messages, each one a different form of guilt, accusation, or demand. Not one of them asks if I'm okay. Finally, I open a blank note on my phone and begin to type. To my family. You've always said I was the responsible one. The sensible one. The one who could be counted on. You were right. That's why I'm doing what I should have done years ago, taking responsibility for my own life. I didn't abandon you. I simply stopped paying for the consequences of your choices. Ethan, you're 30 years old. If you can buy a TV with my money, you can sell it to pay your bills. Linda, manipulation isn't love, and guilt isn't gratitude. Thomas, being a father isn't about taking, it's about giving. You once called me your workhorse. Here's the truth. The workhorse isn't dead. She's retired. You'll need to learn to stand on your own now. I wish you luck. Claire. I stare at the screen for a long moment before deciding not to send it. Some truths are better left unsaid or better yet lived. Instead, I delete the draft, put the phone aside, and pick up my camera. Outside, the sun is setting over the mountains, painting the snow in shades of gold and violet. I step out onto the balcony, the cold air biting my cheeks, and snap a photo. A caption forms in my mind. Freedom looks good in winter. I post it to my private account, the one none of them know about, and watch as the first flakes of snow drift through the air. Somewhere, hundreds of miles away, chaos is probably unfolding. Bills unpaid. Dinners canceled. Excuses made. And yet, for the first time, none of it feels like my responsibility. I pour another glass of champagne and settle by the fire, watching the flames dance against the glass. Maybe one day, they'll understand. Maybe they won't. Either way, I'm done waiting for their approval. Because this isn't revenge anymore. It's rebirth, the stillness after fire. Act I, the ripples. Winter thawed slowly that year. By January, The Prescott name had become a whisper in their neighborhood, the kind spoken behind closed doors. Linda's Bridge Club knew first. Word spread that the Christmas Eve dinner she'd bragged about never arrived. The caterer had shown up instead at Fire Station Number 5, feeding a room full of firefighters who'd filmed their gratitude for social media. The clip had gone viral. "Whoever Claire Prescott is, you made our Christmas." Linda tried to laugh it off, pretending it was a mix-up. But when people noticed her new credit cards being declined at boutiques she once ruled, the laughter dried up. Thomas's truck was repossessed 2 weeks later, right in front of the golf club valet stand. He shouted, red-faced, blaming a banking glitch. But everyone knew it wasn't the bank. It was karma. Ethan posted a video rant on social media. "My sister cut us off right before Christmas. Who does that to their own family?" The comments weren't what he expected. People dug up his old posts, the expensive art, the designer sneakers, the 8K TV he'd bought for creative inspiration. The internet did what it always does. It connected the dots. By the weekend, his account was locked and sponsors pulled out of his latest art project. The house of cards had finally collapsed. And Claire? She was back from Wyoming, but not the same woman who'd left. Act 2, The Return. She didn't return to her family city. Instead, she relocated to Seattle, renting a sunlit apartment overlooking the bay. Her job at the firm welcomed her back with open arms. Valerie, her boss, had already heard about the Kessler deal she'd closed before leaving. "You disappeared and somehow came back stronger," Valerie said one morning, sipping coffee in her glass office. "I just stopped apologizing for it," Claire replied. Her work blossomed. She was no longer the quiet overachiever who carried everyone else's weight. She was decisive, fearless, respected. When she walked into meetings now, people noticed. Not because she demanded attention, but because she no longer asked for permission to exist. Act 3, Exposure. One afternoon, while scrolling through local headlines, Claire froze. Former executive under investigation for fraudulent expense claims, Thomas Prescott. The article detailed how Thomas, desperate to maintain his lifestyle, had used fake business expenses to cover debts. The whistleblower was unnamed, but Claire didn't need to guess. Valerie had a friend in corporate auditing. One anonymous email was all it took. Poetic irony, Thomas had always lectured her about honesty, about doing the right thing. Linda's downfall was quieter, but just as sharp. Her friends drifted away when her lavish facade crumbled. One by one, they stopped answering her calls. Without her daughter's money, her social circle evaporated. And Ethan? He sold the 8K TV he'd once bragged about for rent money. He applied for a real job, his first in years, and when the interviewer asked about his references, he listed his sister. Claire received the email request and simply clicked decline. No words. No revenge speech. Just silence, the cleanest weapon of all. Act 4, The Mirror. Months later, Claire was invited to speak at a women's leadership conference. The topic, boundaries and self-worth in a demanding world. She stood on stage, her voice calm, her posture strong. "I used to think love meant giving until it hurt," she said. "But all that does is teach people how much pain you'll tolerate." Applause rippled through the room. In the front row, a young woman wiped away tears. Claire saw her younger self in that face, exhausted, loyal to a fault, desperate for approval. Afterward, a reporter asked her, "Do you ever regret cutting ties with your family?" Claire smiled faintly. "Regret is a luxury I used to buy with guilt. I don't shop there anymore." The quote trended online that night. Even Ethan saw it. He didn't share it, but he saved the image, a small part of him finally understanding what she meant. Act V, The Stillness After Fire. On the anniversary of her Wyoming trip, Claire returned to the mountains. The air was thinner, the snow softer, the silence purer. She brought no phone, no laptop, only a small notebook and a pen. At sunset, she sat by the frozen lake and wrote. Freedom wasn't the revenge. Peace was. The world didn't collapse when I stopped saving it. They burned their own bridges. I just stopped rebuilding them. She closed the notebook and let the wind take her last page. Somewhere far away, her family was still learning to live without her. And maybe someday they'd thank her for it, for forcing them to stand. But that no longer mattered. She had given them enough. Now she gave herself everything she had left. As the final light faded across the peaks, Claire whispered the words that had become her truth. Sometimes the greatest act of revenge is no longer needing one. The wind carried her voice into the dusk. And for the first time, she felt utterly, completely free.